Live, ladies and gentlemen. Top of the morning to you guys, or late morning to some of you, or some of you guys. This is Kurt DeField with Counterpunch Boxing News Round 2. And the discussion this morning, because it's early morning here, it's around, what time is it? It is 9:10, so I guess that's 3 o'clock for you guys in the UK. So, the question I have for you guys, and this has been a pretty brewing topic so far, is should there be, wait for it to load, come all, let the notifications come about. Hopefully it's sent to every smartphone device that we possibly have. And no, I just feel that are asking a question to you guys when we load up. Should it be, or should we wait for a public audience in the sport of boxing? One on the chat, welcome. Counterpunch to you, the one and only. Give me a shout out, let me know where you're at in this crazy world, this weird world that we're living in. Hit the like button as you come in. Will you? 3 on the chat, 3's a crowd. Welcome, guys, to Counterpunch Boxing News. 4 on the chat. Hit the like button as you guys come in. And I want to ask you guys your feelings on public events, on crowds. Should there be an audience? Should not be an audience? You guys give me your feedback. Because there's a lot of people that feel that these events that are massive, mega events, Joshua Pulev or Wilder Fury or Fury Wilder 3, even Loma Teofimo, those fights should be, they should have or wait to the appropriate time to bring them in front of an audience. I think for the sake of boxing, it should be happening. Ryan Watterson, appreciate you, man. I feel that the show must go on. I really do. I feel that if, based on what we're going through, UFC is churning them out weekly. Basically, we can't let boxing be left behind and forgotten about. Well, Ryan, not only that, we have football, basketball, baseball. We have all the sports that are still going along. Okay, they haven't missed a beat. So good counterpunch to that. Just finished breakfast, guys. And I know the pay is going to be different because they have to implement new paying scale for the fighters. Because after all, they do risk their lives in there. They're risking their lives in there. But at what expense? It's like you ask yourself, okay, well, do you have or do you get more from staying at home and waiting for a bigger payday for months on end? Or do you take what you have now? So you can get desperate and say, hey, I need the money. And, or you can say, you know what, I don't need the money, so I think I'll wait. I think 5 million is a lot better than 1.2. You know what I mean? But where are we at in this crazy world? Give me a shout out. I give you a shout out back. But you are right though, Ryan. UFC is actually, but here's the thing about UFC. That's why Dana White is, in fact, successful when it comes to this situation because he didn't really pay a bulk of his fighters anything anyway, like boxers do. Okay, you tell Danny Garcia to take a paycheck from UFC and see what he tells you. I mean, see what he actually tells you when you send you give Danny Garcia a check with about $40,000 on it for fighting in the octagon. He got a broke toe. You know what I mean? Fractured jaw, fucking arm overextended. You know, and you give him that particular check for that, and see what he tells you. Scotland made eating lunch. Enjoy your work, mate. Don't ever give up. Good fight. Absolutely, I will not. I will not. Go ahead and hit that like button. The three that's in here. We have a small crowd today. I guess people are busy on this Friday. TGIF, everybody. You know, I'm just enjoying the scenery here by the pool, and just enjoying it. I mean, fall. This is some beautiful weather. It's not pissy hot. It's not, it's not too cold or whatever. But I mean, I don't have anything short sleeve on, but I'm just dressing for the weather, you know. Um, but yeah, live audiences, and should it be? Should live events wait for the sake of waiting, for the sake of the payment of the fighter? You might say that's for the fans, but really for the fans, or is it for the fighters themselves? Because what does the live gate generate? Millions. And a lot of people win because what people don't think about are the concessions, the beers, the high overpriced beers you buy at a place when you go watch a fight live, the popcorn, the food, all the amenities, all these things that are, you have to take into account as revenue. Okay. Despite what the gate is the representation of how many people buys the tickets. Okay. But you don't think about the vendors. Okay. The vendors and all these people that are hired to make money off that event. Why wouldn't Eddie Hearn and AJ want to just get Pulev out of the way? The delay only leaves less room for an undisputed fight. Pulev is trash anyway. Just fight him and get him out of the way. Kai Johnson, I appreciate your theory, but I wouldn't call a guy with one loss trash. Can't do that. Now, could AJ beat him? More than likely he can. But to call him trash because he was knocked out by Dr. Steelhammer, you got to ask yourself this question. How many people did Dr. Steelhammer knock out? That's the question you ask yourself. He's knocked out a whole bunch of people. He's beat a lot more. And I just don't see that he's trash. And to get him out of the way, I hope Joshua doesn't have that same mentality. Why? Because a lot of times you think it's just a regular fight and you don't get up enough for that fight and someone catches you off guard because they have. They've risen to the occasion. Fighters can't afford to wait. Better take less than to wait. MCK, counterpunch to you. Now, we're on the same thought process. Okay? If someone was willing to give you $2 million versus what you could have made, which was 5 to 7, but you had fought all year long, I would rather take that $2 million. I'd give me the $2 million. Graham Taylor, counterpunch to you. No, give me the 2 million instead of no million, instead of nothing, instead of waiting for a possible fight to happen. And you have to remember something, guys. Sports, it's not a necessity either. Okay, this is not a necessity. It's entertainment. So just be thankful, I feel, that people still want to watch a fight from home. Excuse me. But MCK, I'm with you all the way with that. I think, and I feel that these fighters, you know, uh, are taking the initiative, are realizing, hey, this is a jacked up time we're living in right now. So what do you do at the end of the day? I tell you what you do. Um, you take the fight, and then it's also it's good for marketing also, because if you're willing to take a pay cut, that means you're willing to settle for what every other American, every other citizen in this world really that's affected by COVID-19 because they can't work. Think about all the servers and the theater workers and Skrilla 50 counterpunch to you, brother. Think about all these particular like what else is affected by that? The racetracks. Think about it. I mean, these particular jobs are just gone right now. You know, they're just gone. It's nothing you can really say about it. They're done. A lot of places are closing down because they can't afford to not stay open and not be open because they need money, and that and uh, their whole source of staying open and relevant is to keep making money. They're not making any money, so they have to close down because they can't afford the overhead of the building or whatever they're renting. So, and even if they own the building, I mean, you still have to keep people employed. So all the employment from these particular places, these entities like spas and stuff like that, that stuff's not open over here. We are like known in the South. Okay, I I partially grew up in an area by the river with a lot of casinos. It was Shreveport. Shreveport probably has about 6 casinos. Okay, and in those 6 casinos, you had buffets, cafes, steakhouses, and you had like a 24-hour diner, right? And that 24-hour diner, Lady Sean, what's up, baby? Counterpunch to you. Um, you had buffets like all you can eat. And I know you guys in the UK are like, damn it, really? Yeah, crab legs and stuff like that, oysters. You can eat these as much as you like until you literally have a stroke to the left side of your face. Seriously, and none of that shit's open now. Spas or any none of that. And then people that work there, you like they are used to volumes of people and and it's affecting a lot of people. A lot of people. So when that person is sitting on the couch, because that we had here what was it? We had a stimulus. Okay. So you had a stimulus. So but that's only like, I don't know, $1,200, maybe $600. But and we had like another incentive like per week. But eventually that was only for a couple months and that ran out. So for the people that are struggling with that, all you can eat in the UK usually means as much as you can get on one plate, or all you can eat. Sacred. No, Kai Johnson, this is not that. You can literally have 20 plates in a buffet. I've seen people do that shit. Salad. No, no, no. No. Kai, that no. Over here, no. You finish one plate, they pick that plate up for you. You go get another plate. Okay, this shit is a great breeding ground for gluttony, you know? And you see people that have been affected and have been out of work for months. Then they're watching TV and then they hear about a boxer that doesn't want to take $1.5 million because he's used to taking four. You know, that really leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Versus if you see another fighter that decides, hey, you know what, we're going to take this fight. We're going to take a reduced cut because we understand what everyone else is going through. That's a great empathizer to the public. Okay, you see how that works because people see, okay, well, they're willing to do it. So that means that adapting, so that can give some inspiration to a regular everyday Joe Blow that needs a job because they were out of a job because of the pandemic, right? No, we have all you can eat food too. Okay, cool. Looks like Canelo having to accept a lot less. MCK. That's exactly. You know what? And I was thinking of him when I was talking about those fighters that just wanted something for nothing. Okay, we've already counterpunched this with Canelo. Do you know why they shut his shit down? Because he was asking for something that he was not giving them. Your Durham. You can't ask for 35 fucking $1 million to fight your Durham. You're not Mayweather. I'm sorry. You're not. You may try to be like Mayweather because you was beaten by Mayweather. Cotto tried to be like Mayweather. He was beaten by Mayweather. You know, Mayweather has a funny way of putting his spell on you. You know, when he shoulder erosion, he gives you a spell that makes you think you're better than you aren't. You know, and I think that it's one of those things where Canelo felt he was more privileged than other fighters, and you know, pragmatically, I get it. But Canelo, look, he wasn't fighting anybody. You fought an old, drunk, beat up ass Kovalev. At how old is Kovalev? 35, 36 years old? Mate, I don't, 37? You know, I know Golovkin's 38, so I know they're like pretty much stable mates. School of 15 or 50. I used to have a lot of respect for Canelo, but all his cherry picking is detracting me from him. It should. You know, like Canelo, when he started off, I had mad respect for him too. I mean, he fought guys like Lara. Nobody fought Lara back then, especially when Lara was like that guy nobody wanted to fight. Okay, he was probably hit less, like right under Mayweather. He was like one of the hardest guys to hit. He had these long monkey arms. He was a southpaw, and he had foot speed. Okay, and he had great timing speed. And he gave Canelo fits in their first fight. And exactly, Canelo cheated Lara, and they did not give this man a rematch. If he gave a shit about his legacy, he would have gave that man a rematch. And I will tell you this: had that been Mayweather, and Mayweather would have had a close fight with any opponent, he gave them a rematch. Even though they thought he lost it, because a lot of people thought Castillo beat Mayweather the first fight. What did he do? He can have a rematch. He gave him a rematch. Okay, Marcos Maidana. He was close. He gave him a rematch. Canelo, he did the wrong thing. He took on the stuck-up Richie Rich role and didn't fight him. Okay, and then by the time he shitted over Triple G, it was like, then you started fighting guys that people didn't really want to see. You know, it is what it is. I got to get ready for work, but I'm going to keep the live on, though. Nice. Multitask, Lady Sean. Multitask. That's how we do it. Kurt, what boxing weight class do you specialize in the most in terms of history of the sport up to the modern day? You know what? I used to, like in the early 2000s, Kai, I used to be really big in the lower weight classes because they were more exciting. I just liked, the contact because smaller guys, they can, for some reason, I guess they're smaller. I mean, the impact of the punches are not as explosive or dangerous, so to speak. I don't know about dangerous because that's a poor word to use because they all dangerous. But fighters that are smaller, they can absorb more punches. It makes it more like Barrera Morales. That was at 122 pounds. Right? Now, when that fight came to pass, that was one of the best fights in 2000. Welterweight, though, I think is kind of like in the middle. I think welterweight division on from the early 80s to the 90s, I think the welterweight division kind of stuck out of its own. And in fact, was leading the pack when you had the Mayweather build-up. And then eventually the fight happened. And then we had to kind of shift our focus to some other, craft of weight, which was the heavyweight division because the Klitschko's ran it. They ran the division. If one didn't have the belt, the other one had the belt. And people lost to those guys. They took some losses, some upsets, but they got it back. When you beat one, then you got to fight the other fucking one. So it was crazy. I mean, they sewed it up. Look, let me tell you something. The Klitschko's were the apartheid of the heavyweight division in the early 2000s. Okay, and yeah, I wish Mayweather would have fought Lara too. That would have been, and you know something crazy? If Lara would have, well, Lara did beat Canelo, but if he would have got decision against Canelo, Lara would have probably fought Mayweather. Yeah, because the reason why I wanted to see that fight because that of what Zab Judah was able to do 6 rounds in the Floyd Mayweather fight, he was able to get to Mayweather. Someone like Lara was probably a little taller than Mayweather, longer reach than Mayweather, not as fast or talented, but just as skilled and has great timing speed. That would have been one hell of a fight. Now, people probably wouldn't have respected it. You would have had some boos, you know. You'd had some drunk people in the crowd. Boo! Wait, one last thing. I like watching the big boys if you know what I mean. Heavier weights all day for me. Counterpunch to you, you know, I mean, but here's the thing. Let me counterpunch you, Lady Sean. That shit wasn't the case back in the day. Okay? For the last, from probably, oh, 2, 3, that was the Klitschko's. So, and I hated watching Vladimir. Vladimir's shit was so boring, they booed him out of Madison Square Garden. I hated his style. That jab and grab shit, I hated it. It was effective, but I hated it. It wasn't, you know, I'd rather watch Pacquiao beat up Clottey than to watch Vladimir do his jab and grab thing. Kai Johnson, Terrence Crawford makes welterweight exciting. Well, he tries. I mean, if these other guys will fight him, he has to fight all these outsourced fighters because all those PBC guys don't want to fight him. Heavier weights are exciting because of the knockouts. I'm gonna tell you, I liked Triple G for a while. I liked Triple G until he got infected by the Canelo shit. Mayweather infected Canelo. Canelo infected Triple G. Because remember Triple G, God of War. What's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Remember Triple G used to be that guy that he wanted to fight everybody? Remember that shit? Nah, good boy. Nah, I'll make a good boy out of you. Are you serious? Are you really serious now? But he fought Canelo and he just, damn, just fell off. I mean, even after the draw, he should have been, look, a draw was a blessing for Golovkin. Okay, it was a blessing because that means you actually won, but they just didn't want to give you an L. So they did what they could. They helped Triple G. But Triple G, and then I'm going to tell you what happened. He came home, probably made love to his wife, played with his children, and pretty soon he checked his banking account. And his banking account looked like nothing else he's ever saw, and he fell in love with the zeros, and the rest is history. And he's been following Canelo ever since. It's a damn shame, but I mean, you know, money talks and bullshit runs a marathon. You know, that's what I believe happened to Triple G. And then all those other fights that he was looking for, like the Billy Joes and the Chris Eubanks and shit like that, he didn't want them no more. He didn't want to show anybody anything for any reason. If you noticed, he just wanted Canelo. He had it. Look, he eventually fought Derevyanchenko. But before that, you guys remember, Derevyanchenko was the guy that actually, because he went to the IBF. The IBF, he made the IBF strip him of that title. That's exactly what happened. You know, and then he loses a small split decision to Canelo, which is honestly a draw, I feel, but it is what it is. Then he fights Derevyanchenko. You know, so it's crazy, man. It's just crazy with Golovkin. But to say that, to bring up Golovkin was knocking people out. He was either stopping you or knocking you out, making you quit on the stool, or just beating the shit out of you like he did Kell Brook. breaking shit. He was a hard puncher. It was a very, very, but he stayed balanced. He's never been down. Neither has Canelo though. So those guys, those guys will always pair up to have good fights. Heavyweight got boring after Lennox Lewis retired until now. Yeah, Lennox Lewis knew, Graham, that if he fought Vitali again, I don't think he would want that fight. Even though I know he was going to retire or whatever, but he knew. But that would be the reason why I wouldn't have retired if I'm Lennox Lewis, because you will always leave that doubt. Well, dude, could you really beat Vitali if you didn't fuck his eye up, if his eye wasn't damaged to that degree? Could that really happen? Could you really done that? Boxing is dying because it's waiting for crowds. Time to start finding a way to live in the current situation rather than wait it out. Nobody knows how long we will wait. Vic, you're without a doubt 100% absolutely right. I mean, nobody knows how long this shit's going to last. We may be this time, I hope not. God, I hope not. But we may be this time next year saying the same shit. What about next year? What about next year? What about the vaccine? You take the vaccine. I'll wait for what it does to you and thousands of other people before I even think about taking a vaccine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I ain't trying to break it thinking it's not fixed. Counterpunch. The downfall of HBO boxing ended Golovkin's career. If HBO was still around, we would have seen Canelo Triple G. I don't know about that, because I don't think HBO had anything to really do with Canelo per se. You know what I'm saying? I think Canelo would have, the Zone would have still came here, with or without HBO. But I think because of the arrival of the Zone that docked the US of A, I think HBO just like, yo, white flag, because we're not competing with that shit. Canelo reported to have agreed $20 million per guarantee fight with the Zone. Yeah, MCK did. Just did a video on that. But guess what? It has a pay-per-view style structure now, don't it? So, I think they bribed him with that idea of making a lot more money than the base salary. But I guess he can fight whoever the hell he wants to fight. But I don't think he should, though. I think Canelo should do exactly what he's been doing. And who's to know, man? Canelo might be on his way out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he started when he was 15. And what is he, 30 now? And he doesn't want to fight any of those other guys. Interesting. Very interesting. But no, guys, I think and I feel that boxing has to adapt like everything else. I've been saying it. I'm going to say it. They claiming Canelo and DAZN working together on opponents. Well, DAZN needs to work together with him. Because if they leave it up to Canelo, I'm afraid he's just gonna pick some dipshit. He's gonna pick somebody that nobody wants to see. Carlos, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Australia. You're right, Australia and New Zealand, because they don't have that shit over there. But here's the problem: if you have a place that doesn't have a lot of that, and then you bring a whole bunch of people that possibly have that shit, then they get a breakout. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Canelo's 30 years old. That's right, he was turning 24 and 14, so that makes sense. Yeah, he's 30. Yeah, they gave him a birthday present by Robin Lada. And I remember Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar was like, nobody wants to see a rematch. Nobody. Nobody wants to see a Lara rematch. Lara lost, so Lara has to go behind the line. He has to go behind the line and wait, just like everyone else. Split decision or whatever. He lost. They didn't want to take that into account. Like, okay, but yeah, the football stadiums. Yeah, they could have it at a football stadium. Actually, I'm here in Austin right now, and I seen a football game last night, and the shit's supposed to be social distancing, but I could have sworn it was a whole crowd of people. You know what I mean? There's at least 200 people there. I'm like, yo, you got 200 people there. It was a pretty big stadium and all, but still, you had people there. All right, so I don't know how many people got sick or whatever. Can hear you from the bathroom. Certain power parts of Australia are full lockdown, and New Zealand has COVID now. Fuck. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like the shit, it's like everything else. I was watching this movie last night. It's like a zombie movie. I like all that shit, but it was a Korean film called Stay Alive, right? Where this kid, he was like a gamer, and then he wakes up one day, his parents ain't there, they leave him a note, so like get some food. Well, he's gaming or whatever, and then he starts hearing a bunch of shit outside. He looks outside, there's people like turning and infecting and everything, and eating each other and shit, and infecting other people. So it was a pretty good movie, actually. But say all that to say this: you don't want a place that's not infected to become infected, you know, because I think what happens is a lot of times people are like, hey, well, it ain't happened here. Well, it ain't happened there yet. They just haven't hit there yet because, that right plane of people ain't got there to start coughing, sneezing, touching shit. And then, everybody's contracting it and then they're getting sick. It's just a slower progression. Give you a perfect example. Louisiana got hit worse than probably any state besides New York or Washington, right? Florida, I think, was in there. But Louisiana was bad. And I was in Louisiana the whole time, in my condo, doing videos, looking crazy, got a big ass ZZ Top beard, that type of shit. You know what I mean? And, it was crazy. Well, while Louisiana was jacked up, over here in Texas, people were fine. So you'd call back here and talk to people in Texas, especially Austin. They're still going out, they're still drinking, they're still mingling, they're still talking, they're still touching, they're still doing everything. And Louisiana, it's a shutdown. It's a lockdown completely. So Louisiana gets locked down. You couldn't even drive over the border. It really literally became the separated states of America because they didn't want to let you in. And if they did let you in, you'd have to quarantine for 14 days. But how would they guarantee you would go somewhere and just quarantine? So it was weird. But Texas got it later on, about a month later, then Texas got hit hard. So I don't think it's really about, what's the worst places. I think some places get hit first, and then later on those places, that haven't been hit gets hit, just like this particular place. That's like, segregation in America. No shit, and um, New Zealand and Australia. You know, there's far too many politics in boxing that transcends all the way down to kid amateurs. Whatever happened to the best fighting the best just to prove who's number one? No, they're not going to do that. Maybe the amateurs you'll see better fights. Like you actually did see Crawford and Danny Garcia in the amateurs, or Mikey Garcia and Crawford in the amateurs. You know what I mean? Usyk versus Joyce in the amateurs. You'll see those. Lomachenko versus Verdejo in the amateurs. You're going to see a lot more fights than that. Timothy Bradley versus Andre Ward. Where the hell they do that at? You're not going to ever see that. But you saw it in the amateurs. So I think the amateurs is less corruptive. They might want certain locals to win, sure, but it's not as far as bad as professional boxing. Boxing was on a roll. I'm sure all the fans will take the fights with no crowd, but there's a lot of egos in boxing, and they won't take the pay cut. Philly Mole, you know what? If they don't want to take the pay cut, so be it. They don't have to fight. Take them exact, strip them from the rankings. You know what I mean? Do anything you can. Like, look, I'm not. You're not. You don't want to play ball. You don't want to be like the rest of us. You don't want to compromise. Get the fuck out. That stops all that diva shit because people are waiting. Because that's not anything else. That's pride and that's greed. You know, that's accustomedness. I'm accustomed to this particular lifestyle or this particular pay cut or paycheck or whatever. No, get rid of them because, the promoters, look at Bob Arum and Frank Warren. Now they're saying the same shit. Now they're saying, oh, no, no, no. We have to wait for a crowd. Because see, when they do that, they're fucking something up on down the line. If they wait and wait and wait for Wilder and Fury for that fight, that is just look. It's a contractual agreement. Don't mean a lot of people want to see it. The only reason that people want to see it now is because a lot of lies have been created to make that fucking fight sellable. Okay, but nobody really wanted to see that fight, and definitely no one wants to miss out on Joshua versus Fury, fucking around with Wilder and Fury 3. Come on, it's a dude. It's a rubber match. It's a rubber match. The tiebreaker's already been broken. They tied the first time. Fury beat him the second time. That should have been it. Bottom line. It's smart for Wilder to get a rematch clause, but come on, man, look. Don't push this shit like this shit is higher than what it's supposed to be. Yeah, it's going to be highly anticipated just for shits and giggles. Okay? But it is what it is. You can't ignore that times is changing and times have changed. The shit may always be like this. Right? Guys like Anthony Josh said, I hope it stays this way. I'm like, damn, do you now? I don't. But, no. You don't want to push that fight out. Worry. And then that comes in the same window of time where Joshua is supposed to fight Fury. Just for the sake of a fucking crowd, because we've seen enough fighters. Look at Pulev and White. That was fine. I think the judges were a little shitty, but in all in all, no, it can happen. It could be done. Take a pay cut. Did I get him? No, I didn't. I hate mosquitoes more than anything. Kurt, have you seen the Korean zombie movie called Train to Busan? Awesome zombie film. I am going to watch that film you mentioned live today on Netflix. Yeah, I seen it, man, and no, I haven't saw that Korean one. I've heard of it though, Train to Busan. I have heard of that. I will check that out as well, and I'll get back with you, Graham. Slow Tello presents. Feels like AJ hasn't fought in a decade. I need an AJ fight, man. Look, AJ knows though, but and it just shows you, AJ's not really money driven. He's not really money driven. He ain't. Other fighters are, but he's not. He'll tell you himself, I got enough of that. So it's not that. That's why he's willing to look. The time we're in, let's give the fans a good fight. Let's and at the same time kill two birds with one stone. Get his damn mandatory out of the way. So that'll be done. That's a real champion that fights his mandatories, by the way. That's a real champion. I could fight in a car park for no money just to prove I'm better. You're right, Kurt. We need boxing to keep going through these times. Yeah, every fighter needs to know what that's like. So we can look back at 2-3 years on down the road. Hey, yeah, I remember that time. But we got through it together. I've never met anyone with AIDS, therefore it does not exist, you guys. If you don't want to fight, then become a Walmart greeter. Yeah, Walmart. Look, Walmart, Amazon, Chick-fil-A. What else is just booming right now? Those three things: Walmart, Chick-fil-A, Amazon, dude, they're billionaires. Now imagine them saying, you know what? No, we can't do that. We can't. We're not going to send any packages because we're concerned about the COVID-19. So therefore, we're shutting all our shit down. No, that's just stupid. Those are big corporations, big companies, huge companies. So what do you think that would have happened to them if they would have done that shit? They kept going. They adapted, right? They rolled with the punches. Think these fighters should do the same. And these promoters. Yeah, Hearn's not waiting for a crowd. You know why Hearn ain't waiting for a crowd? Because Hearn already knows that I've already done this and it successfully worked. Did it give you excitement? Yes. Did it give you intrigue? Yes. Did it give you surprising knockouts? Yes. Look at fucking, did we ever think Povetkin was going to knock out Dillian White? That happened in fight camp. Okay? That happened in the bubble. That can never be forgotten. Never. But it happened. So Eddie Hearn already knew. And Eddie Hearn's not an idiot. He knows. He thinks of ways and new and improved ways to create intrigue and market something that can't be marketable or other people are not trying to market. He's always trying to think outside the box. That's what he did. That's why he's doing what he's doing. That's why he's like, you know what? Let's do AJ Pulev like that. Fuck it. I'm not waiting. He's not waiting. Pulev's not waiting. Let's take off. Let's see where it goes. Scenes when AJ knocks Pulev out within the first 10 seconds of the first round. Yeah, that would be massive. That would be massive, definitely. Crowder still hasn't learned how to box, so he can't win, period. Skrilla 50. I can't wait to see that fight. That's why I don't want that shit to be waiting until February. I want to see that shit immediately. Get that shit and get it over with. Get it over with. I'm tired. Look, I'm tired of the shit. I'm tired of the talking. I'm tired of them crazy ass fanatic fans. Them Wilder debts, them wildlings. I'm tired of them. I'm sick of hearing about them. They're doing countless videos after videos. That shit is really, dude, stop. Market the third fight. AJ versus Pulev for December 12th. It looks that way. It looks that way. Crawford versus Brooks is going to be good. Yeah, it will. Carlos is going to be a good fight. I talked to you the other day about that. Shit, I'm still feeling that burger, homie. But no, that's going to be a very good fight. Very, very good fight. I just hope Brooks healed. You know, because, I mean, that would have been the third ass that beat him. And if he's not ready, you're going to know. And then the first thing they're going to say is, oh, well, Crawford, he's just fighting Brooks. He's just fighting Errol Spence's leftovers. You know, that's what they're going to say. So, yeah, Walmart, Amazon, Chick-fil-A employees sound like Wilder's next three opponents. Aaron. Wilder could surprise us in the trilogy. He could. Whatever happens, I just want to happen and get it over with. You know, Wilder would have beat Fury if he disguised his right hand and feinted a lot. I don't know. Strange things have happened. Stranger things. Need the LDBC sent to the moon. They'll probably shoot to the moon if he fucking wins. You know, Sergey gonna hurt Charlo. Watch. You know, Sergey, I want to know what he's gonna do when he goes to that body of Jamal. I mean, round after round, he's coming in. But I don't think it's a good idea for him to let Jamal hit him. Will you be back on your old channel? Soon. Very fucking soon. Give it another week or so. But I mean, this channel is in full effect. So I don't think I'll be going live. I may go live I know I'm going live this weekend, and it'll be on this channel. Um, all the other ones will more than likely be on my original channel, but I'll let you guys know definitely. So interesting what the LDBC will do if Wilder loses again. Like, after all these excuses, I'm just interested. You know, that's probably one of the only reasons I would like for Wilder to win. I mean, sorry, to lose, because it would then. I mean the same way. I mean, getting beat up, you're getting the shit beat out of you. They stop the fight, or he gets just knocked out. If he gets knocked out, you know what I believe will happen right away. If Wilder gets knocked out in that third fight, I think it's going to be a lot of people jumping in the ring. I think a riot will take place. I really do. I think something will be on the lines of, hey, check his gloves, check his fucking gloves, check his gloves. You know what I mean? They're going to snatch them damn gloves off. Give me your fucking gloves, motherfucker. Give me your gloves. And they're going to have the gloves in, and they're going to look and squeeze it. Ain't no padding in these motherfuckers. It's going to be, man, it's going to be crazy, man. It's going to be hilarious. So, can you explain what happened? I didn't really understand. What do you mean? Old channel and new channel. Kurt, I'm a fan for life. Skrilla50, appreciate you, man. Thank you. Counterpunch to you. Eddie Hearn admitting AJ may drop a belt to fight Fury. Yeah, MCK. I wouldn't even recommend that, though. That's one reason I want Fury to lose. See, with me, I see the BS coming before it starts. And it's never, hey, we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. Not in boxing, because a lot of people already have agendas set up and in place to do something shitty on down the line. See, Eddie Hearn wants that fight with Fury because he likes the idea of having two British champs. You know, he doesn't care about Undisputed. He cares about getting paid. If he's the promoter behind Anthony Joshua, he's still winning. He's still winning. So there's no doubt about that. But I know Joshua, he fought too hard to want all those belts back, not to be missing one or two when he fights Fury. And then if he gets the WBC, well, fuck, now I got to go back and get the other belt. You know, and that could be another problem, because whoever has that belt, which probably would be Usyk, you know, then he has to fight Usyk for it. Usyk might beat Joshua and take all them fucking belts. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. Usyk versus Dubois is happening soon for the WBO, according to Frank Warren. Aaron, let me tell you something. That's what Frank wants. I mean, more power to him, but that's what he wants. Lee Campbell, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Everything's good. Just enjoying this weather. It's just warm enough to have a fucking mosquito out here, and the bitch popped me on my pinky. I tried to kill him, and it's just one of them. So you don't have a lot of them. You know, like in the summertime, they'll haul you off, fly off with you somewhere like Jeepers Creepers. But, you know, hold on a second. There we go. But in this case, it's just one culprit, and he's just flying around. You know, Derek, what are you, Derek? It's crazy. He kind of sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger's cousin or something. Into the chopper. If Wilder gets beat a third time, the LDBC will just blame it on damage caused by Fury cheating in the earlier fights. You can see the excuses coming from. Oh my God. You know something? Graham, why did you have to say that? Somebody could be watching from that shit. You know they got little trolls coming in, looking in, seeing what he's talking about. He talking about us? No, bitch. Not talking about you. But yeah, I think that would be one of the things. No, I could see it now. Here's a dramatization. Here it is. What's up, guys? So, now that Fury has totally compromised Deontay Wilder in the rematch, that the third fight he was so damaged to the fact that he could not He could not stand the blows, even though they were smaller blows. He was just so damaged from all the cheating in the rematch, you know. And I think a full investigation should be very tacted to the last fight as well as the first fight. Do you prefer doing stunt work, coordinating, or acting? You know what? You know what? Acting is probably the most demanding because you actually got to do shit. Stunts is more like your ability to do stuff as well as far as like, hey, flip over this table. Cool. You might do that 6 times, but pretty much that's it. You know what I mean? Make sure you land on a certain area or whatever. But coordinating is making sure everyone is safe that you hire. So I mean, I don't really have vast experience in that. So I mean, I've only coordinated 2 shows. So I mean, I'm not just this dude that I'm this coordinator for stuff. No, because from a coordinator, then you have second unit director. I'm nothing like that. Just an actor and a stunt guy that drives. Now, transportation is fucking boring. That's just boring. But I mean, it all it all creates a check at the end of the day. So, um, yeah, acting first, stunt second, coordinating third, and everything else below that. But actually doing videos is probably over all that shit. I would rather do this all day. Kinda, I guess. I guess I would be bored with doing this all day, but of course I've done it for what, 6 months, right? If Wilder loses, he might blame it on the lights being too bright or his eyes were in pain. I don't know. If his eyes were in pain, it wasn't because of the lights. Maybe his lights were put out. Still need that Wilder smoke. Still need my guy AJ to make Wilder go sleepy. I still want to see that fight too. I really do. That fight needs to happen. Wilder fan clearly ride for Wilder more than he rides for himself. You know what, Skrilla 50? I don't even think them are Wilder fans. You know who's a Wilder fan? Me. I don't think those fighters are Wilder fans. I think those guys, I think they like the idea of certain fighters and what they do. They're like parasites. They did the same shit with Floyd. They made you as a boxing fan hate the fighter because they exploited the fighter by creating certain narratives and talking about the fighter in a way that made you hate him because of them. That's what I see that happened with Wilder. Wilder, and this whole time, he hasn't said anything regarding the Glovegate shit. But it made you, if you're just a fan of boxing, it made you hate the idea of all the shit. And you blame Wilder because you're like, yo, Wilder, say something. He's not saying anything. So now you've created a whole new enemy because of these other guys, not necessarily himself. It's just like Pacquiao. Remember Pacquiao? Triple G's a bad one too. But Pacquiao, his fans are probably the worst. Not Pacquiao himself, not personally, no. I like to fight. Not that guy. But his fans, oh, they can be the biggest shit bags. You know what I mean? So I think it's not really Wilder, it's his fans or the people that pretend to be his fans. And I'm gonna tell you why. I say pretend. Because if Wilder gets beat again, they're going on to the next motherfucker. Then they're gonna be on to Errol Spence, exploiting Errol Spence, making a spectacle out of him, building him up, hyping him up, making him something that he's not. And they do that. Why? Because he's black? Mm-hmm. That's it. Why aren't Americans like us in the UK? We stand by our average fighter, Dave Allen. We stand by our countrymen, in my opinion. Because I'm gonna try to keep this non-political, but then it still has to be because Americans don't think like other people in the world. America's built over different nationalities and races. Okay, so when you have a melting pot of so many different people here, and the freedom of speech and all that good stuff, but it also forms another problem. The problem is it's not true unity here. Okay, so what happens in America? People look at, they don't look at nationality first. They look at nationality second. That's the problem. Okay, counterpunch. They don't see, okay, like look at Larry Merchant. I just did a video on Larry Merchant. You know, it's a kind of long one. It's uploading right now, honestly. But if you take Larry Merchant for example, Larry Merchant was so happy that Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder. That's a pure example right there where he wasn't trying to support his countryman. He was trying to support what the guy looked like. That's the difference. If he was really, if he was a true patriot, he would be mad because Deontay Wilder is an American, and you should support your American fighters. He wasn't looking at nationality. He was looking at race. That's the problem, because that guy looked like him, and that's the problem we have a lot over here in the US of A, because people look at people and they stereotype what a person looks like versus how a person is. You know, you could have a lot in common with a person that you look nothing like. But the problem is you won't get past that outer shell to see what that is. That's the problem. Okay, and I hope I explained that the best way I possibly could. But that's the only way that I could really explain it at the time without trying to be too clever. But that's exactly what it is. That's the problem. Because we look at, and because we have so many different other talents from other places here, it's easy to start liking someone if they're likable. Look at Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is a guy that you could like. He doesn't come off like a dick, a knob, right? He doesn't come off like that, pompous. He comes off like this dude that's like, he's laughing at everything. He's out talking to people. You see him giving money to people and stuff like that. He's that dude, So it is what it is. As an American, I saw Andy Ruiz as more of an American champion than Deontay Wilder. Fair enough, brother. Hey, brother, you good? You just watched your video on Fury. Damn. And they want AJ to drop a belt and fight. How does that make sense? No, it don't. I mean, I've dropped about 6 videos explaining all this shit, explaining it all, and it concerns Fury. I think I just dropped the Fury one, right? So it's another one, that's really asking, like, why does Fury want AJ to drop a belt? I don't think he really wants him to drop a belt. He just doesn't want him to fight anyone else. And he doesn't want him to fight anyone else because he's not guaranteed that AJ will win. But see, if we know anything about Anthony Joshua is that cash cow. Why do you think Wilder all of a sudden wanted a percentage split? Because he knew the pie that Anthony Joshua presented. And when I mean the pie, I mean the whole take. If you know a guy's making $30 million, you want half of that. If you know he's making 25 million pounds a fight, you want half of that. Why would you want half of that? Because you only made $1 million. You only made 900,000. You only made 500,000 in these fight purses that you've been granted with. Because you weren't anything like that guy. You weren't marketed like that guy. You weren't a gold Olympian. You don't have all these endorsements. You're not saying that Wilder's not likable, but Wilder is only likable to a certain demographic of people. The brash, the urban. He would appeal to that. AJ has a more broader appearance and appeal. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, so nothing saying one's better than the other one. Not saying anything like that. What I'm saying is one was marketable. One made more money because he was more marketable. Because he reached out to a greater, other platforms. Okay? And Wilder knew that. So Wilder knew, like, yo, I want half. Give me a percentage. And then people knew. That's just like, I don't want to use that analogy because that wouldn't be. That's just like a guy. Just like a guy that sold cell phones versus a guy that sold properties. the revenue that you would get from selling cell phones versus the revenue that you would getting selling properties. And these two had to come together. And then the guy that sells cell phones says, hey, you know what? I want 50% of what you make. And the guy that sells the property is like, no, because what I make, buddy, if we do the math, I make $300,000 a year. You make 40? No. How about I do this for you? How about I give you $50,000 or $60,000? Or you know what? How about I give you $100,000? And that's something that you've never had in you before. You've never had a check that big, let alone made that much money in a year. So how about I just give you that? That's exactly what happened with Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder at that time. Okay, that was the whole point. So people want to argue splits. Okay, fair play. I know, and I'm not mad at Wilder for wanting a split because he knew the value of another fighter opposite of him. He did not have that value. He did not have that type of marketability for that. Eddie knew it. AJ knew it. A lot of people knew it, you know, but a lot of people also, I feel, did not want to see that fight either because they were fearful that Wilder wouldn't win. Now, it's easy to say what Wilder would do to another fighter that he ain't seemed to got in the ring with. And that was a lot of those channels were trying to speculate. No, he didn't want to fight him and this, that, and the other, the $50 million, $50 million, the $50 million, and all that stuff. But saying all that to say this about money, okay? Money is the reason why Fury doesn't want Anthony Joshua to fight anyone else. It's all about money. Counterpunch. Imagine the scenes if Wilder knocks out Fury. LDBC would be unbearable. Dude, they would make 3 videos a day, 2 live streams a day, each channel. You would see just, I mean, it would be revival. It would almost be like Jesus came back to get us or his people. You know, come get me. It would be like that. It would be like people would be preaching. People would be, you know, I told you. I knew what it was. I knew it would be a victorious fight for Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder, the 2-time WBC heavyweight champion of the world. You know, and it's one of those things. You know, you would see that. You know, and but understand it's not about channels. It's about the fighters. And if Wilder wins, if Wilder knocks him out, knocks Fury out, it would be meant to happen. You know, and I would be happy for him. I have to give his just due. Now, would I care to hear all the other shit? No. But I just know what I know. And I know Wilder has a puncher's chance. I question how much of a puncher's chance he has because I seen him catch Fury flush. I mean, quick. And that right hand, he caught him with that Luis Ortiz punch. You know what? Damn near in the same spot. But he argued that he was injured. He said that himself. Nobody else. Okay. Wilder said he injured it in the fight. You know? So if he did injure it in the fight, and that is true, where did he do it and when did he do it? So if you really dissect him saying I hurt himself, when? 3rd round, 4th round? Because in the 1st round, boom, he caught Fury. Again, he caught him with that Ortiz punch. You know, and Fury kind of seen it and he kind of went with it a little bit, but he still got caught with it. Who are your top 5 boxers right now? Or top 3? Top 3. You know, I like Arthur Beterbiev. There you go. Arthur Beterbiev. I like Terrence Crawford. I like Tank Davis, but here's the problem with Tank. Me and Tank will always have a problem until Tank gets his ass in there and fights somebody. And I don't mean no smaller guy they making, you know, come up. you know. But I'm glad they're also making Tank come down. Okay, that's a good thing. Tank Davis, he has very good skills. I like the way he fights. The little dude is a hard hitting guy, and he has skills too. He has speed, he has power. He seems tough. Is he rough and rugged? Sure he is. But he's a kid. He's a damn kid, man. I mean, well, he's 25, so. But I feel that he has good skills, very good skills. Two more. In the heavyweight division, I like Usyk. I really like Usyk. I like his attitude. I like his fighting style. I wish he had more power. Though. I wish he did have more power, but the skill set, yes, I like. Who else? I don't know really. Um, who's bad at 140? Martin's good. Josh Martin's good. Um, I really respected that fight, him and Regis Prograis, and I wonder when Regis Prograis is going to come back to the sport. So yeah, that would be my top. That would be my top five right now. Merchant didn't like Wilder because he had fought nobody and was bringing shame to former greats like Tyson Ali and so on. Istvan Grob. I don't think that was what it. No, because he didn't say that. What he said was, this is the thing. Based on what he said, because I could agree with what you just said. I mean, I don't know if he brings shame, but he's not living up to him because he's not fighting these guys. You can't fight Fury and make your whole career about Fury. So it's best for you to never retire after you fight him. But no, he said that no. We haven't had one of a white guy to win in a while, so I'm enjoying this. The fuck does that got to do with anything? See what I'm saying? No, it didn't have anything to do with that. No, he might have tried to add all that other shit on to cover that up, but no, he liked the idea of Fury winning because Fury was white, or he was a non-black fighter, but he was white. Okay, so that's what that was. So it's like, not saying it's false what he said. I'm not saying that, but I don't think that was the main reason. Oh, I'm enjoying this. No, no, dude, no. Well, AJ is my guy. If he dropped a belt, I'd be pissed. I stuck by him for the fact that he always wanted undisputed and gave hope after 20 years without an undisputed champ. Yeah, I would be disappointed too. You know, because I mean, at that point, he would just be selling out to fight somebody. I mean, why the fuck would you do that? Because Eddie Hearn says so, or Eddie Hearn could give a fuck. He just wants to promote the biggest fights. That's what he's worried about. Eddie Hearn is a promoter, entertainer, and he has his own pride in ego. Also, he's a promoter. He wants to be the top promoter. He's a young promoter. Think about all the other promoters. They're all old. Bob Arum, Frank Warren, his father, Barry Hearn. They're all old. Who is us best fighter in your opinion, ATN? Yeah, it's Bud. It's Bud for right now. Hey, how you doing, man? It's Bud for right now. Um, I mean, now in 2 years, will it be Bud Crawford? Probably not. But right now it is. You know, AJ is so much marketable because he seems like the kind of guy that would help you ground across the street. Yeah, I believe that. You know, Anthony Josh was like that kind of guy. You would want to run into. Walk across Wilder in an alley. You know, he looking at you like that. You're like, oh shit. Wilder talked a big game about fighting AJ, but it's clear that he wants to knock out Jiffy Lube employees for the cheap. I mean, Skrilla 50. That's all he knew. That's all he really knew. He won that first fight. Stop hating on B. Who's B? Who the hell is B? Wilder's initial reason for getting into sport to help his sick daughter is very respectable, but that's where my respect for him ends. Well, that is a great story. I mean, you can't help you can't help it. You can't do anything about that besides improve the lifestyle, the quality of life for your kid, and that's what he did. When I heard him talk about working at IHOPs and stuff like that, you had to respect that, because work starting from IHOP and then going to where he's at now, the man has changed his stars. He was able to do a lot for his family. He was able to achieve a lot, and he did it for a very long time, undefeated. Now, did he fight the best opponents? No. Did he have the best opportunities? No, he didn't. So a lot of times I think, management. Okay, let's look at it this way. Look at Triple G. I mean, back when Triple G was really unknown, nobody wanted to fuck with him. Nobody really knew him. Nobody wanted to fight him. Why? Because this guy was an undefeated guy coming from another country, and he had bullshit promotional representation. That's a fact. Universal screwed him over. He didn't get the Stern fights. He didn't get, what's the guy that knocked out Danny Jacobs? I keep forgetting his name. I forget, but he couldn't get that fight either. Maravilla, he passed on him. He didn't want to fight him. So there's a lot of fights he couldn't get. I find it funny when LDBT says AJ is clout chasing Wilder when AJ is way more popular than Wilder, so I don't see how he could. Slow Tello presents. You know what that is? That's the Jedi mind trick. That's the kind of shit that says you say the opposite of really what's happening. If anybody clout chased anybody, it was Wilder. Wilder sold the idea that Anthony Joshua was scared all through the promotions of the Tyson Fury fight. When Deontay Wilder came to Great Britain, and he called Anthony Joshua. When Wilder came to Britain, he called Anthony Joshua a coward on national television. Great Good Morning Britain. That's like Good Morning America. You do some shit like that, millions of people are gonna see that. So he did that. He was just marketing. That was clout chasing. Because what ended up happening, he had that draw with Fury, but he raised his profile because what he was doing, and he was making himself known. He was making himself known as the current American heavyweight champion. He was calling Anthony Joshua the unified British champion, a coward, scared, right? He should be embarrassed, ashamed. He was saying that about Joshua on national TV. But what else was he doing at the same time? He was building his profile. See, he didn't lose against Fury the first fight. Okay? He had a draw, sure, but he didn't lose. And he still had the belt. Since he still had that belt, what he did was, look, we can't forget what happened right before the fight. To this day was created. Remember when Radio Raheem, he got the slogan of Coon because he said, "Here's your people been fighting for your people too, your people too." Now I ain't gotta explain nothing that's understood. Radio Raheem, when he did that, to this day, when that happened, profile. When he was down here, Wilder was fight. Because he still had the belt. Right? Offer sent it, Wilder. $100 million offer. Now where is he at? $25 million a fight. when he didn't even make $2 million a fight 2 years ago. Facts. So clout chasing, yeah, he did that. He clout chased. Some of that he did on his own. But understand this, Wilder did that on his own. His promotional company didn't have shit to do with the things that happened and transpired. So you can't. Shelly Finkel wasn't the was the main reason I had great representation. No, he did not. I think Wilder had terrible representation as promoters or managers. I thought I would have fired all of them. I would have fired them all. Why? Because everything that Wilder did on his own. Okay? Like get his ass whooped. He got his ass whooped on his own. But how was he able to get $25 million or $30 million his last fight? He'd never seen any money like that, ever. Okay? In fact, up until 2018, he's fought 10, 11 years. He grossed like 16 million, right? In his whole career. You go from making that much your whole career to in one fight making 30. Draw your conclusions. You think if there was no AJ, you think he would have made that money? No, he'd have been still making the same shit he would have been making. Why? Because he hadn't fought anyone like AJ. Why? Because he hasn't fought anyone like Klitschko. Why? Because his damn promotional company. Counterpunch. Ooh, Lomachenko or Prince Hamed. Ooh. I think Loma would just eat Prince up. I think he would, because he would be too close to him, hitting him mid-range. He would need to have distance to hit Loma to hurt him. And I don't think he had that. Okay, all right, that's a good question. What's your stance on women's boxing, and could you date a female pro? Sure, I could. I could. Actually, that would be very motivating for me, because that would put me back in the gym. You know what I mean? But no, I think women boxing. I think it's important. I think women boxing has actually took a dive from yesteryear, because the mid 90s to early 2000s, women boxing, I believe, was at its pinnacle. I don't think it's like that anymore. Viagra's for sale. You better call Jarrell, because it's Viagra for sale. Bars. Oh, shoot. Ortiz ordered a bag full. Yeah, I know, right? Jamie, Saint Baby Miller. Fury and Wilder always forgets the Wembley date, and the LDBC always says Spence is the A side against Double Stand. They're gonna say that because that's who. Look, if Wilder loses, Errol Spence is gonna be their knight in shining armor. That's who they have. That's why they still promote those type of guys, because they can't bank on Wilder, because after that fight, I don't think they have honestly have that type of respect for Wilder, or could not say respect, confidence in Wilder. Because if they had that type of confidence that he would win, you wouldn't have heard of Glovegate. Glovegate would have never been created if they felt that Deontay Wilder would have won. Bars. Lady Sean, bars. Oh. I got Viagra's for sale. You better call Jarrell. Kerry, what's your thoughts on Ben versus McClellan? That's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a very good fight. Ben is a rugged fighter, ain't he? My dream fight, AJ would be 2021. Fury twice. 2022. Wilder twice. 2023. White rematch in Ruiz 3 in New York. To the right. That wrong. Ruiz, Ortiz, those guys are in the same boat. Sure, Ruiz is the former unified champion. He owned it for a couple months, but they're in the same boat. They got to fight someone else. Think about it. They have to fight someone else credible. That's why Andy Ruiz is on the redemption list, because he showed us that he didn't want to fight guys like White. And all that shit he's talking lately, I'm glad that White lost. I'm so glad he had no respect. I don't like him. He's a disgrace for boxing. You know, he's a little punk. Okay, why the fuck you fight him? Why didn't you fight him? You could have fought him. You could have fought him. You could have did exactly what Povetkin did or worse. Then, people would have really respected Andy for doing it, because not only did Andy do it to him, he also did it to who? Joshua. So you beat Joshua and Wright, motherfucker. I mean, he could have made his resume better than Wilder's and Tyson Fury's at the same damn time. He didn't want to do that. Therefore, I counterpunched his ass to the redemption list. That's why he's there, because he didn't want to do anything more. He didn't want to excel. He didn't want to stay at a certain level or a certain opposition. He wanted to go back. He wants to fight Chris Arreola. See that type of shit. I'm not ready. Okay, all the shit people talk about Luis Ortiz being old, being 145 years old, used to shadow box and used to spar with George Foreman back in the day. All that shit was in the Revolutionary War. All that shit they say about Ortiz, that fucking Ruiz didn't want to fight him though. You see what I'm saying? Like, so that tells you, like, oh, when it comes to that big mean Cuban, oh, that old bastard, fight that old bastard. I know a lot of old, mean, bad motherfuckers myself. I do. And they're all damn near 50 or something, but don't let them hit you. If they hit you, they're going to bless you with an SSI check for the rest of your life. Is Luis Ortiz in that category? I don't know. Is he? Somebody give him a shot. Let me give you another perspective. We talked about Ruiz beating White. We know White can get knocked out. See, people forgot that White could get knocked out. Why? Because it's been a while since he got knocked out. But like I've been telling people, he gets hit with an uppercut, he might be out. Yep. Ortiz sparred with Jack Johnson. See, Abiola, hello to you, Counterpunch. Look, we hear all this shit about Ortiz, but why aren't these people? Because they know if they go in there and get their ass whooped, they'll never be able to recover. YouTube don't be sent us notification. Oh, it sucks. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. I really don't know what's the deal with YouTube, because I don't think that people are getting these notifications at all either. I don't. Because even on this channel, the amount of subs I have, I'm not certain that they're getting them. But no. Anyway, back to what I was saying. What if Ortiz would have knocked out Dillian White? Do you know what Ortiz is good at throwing? Uppercuts too, from a southpaw stance. Well, that would be nice. I would like to see Ortiz take on Tyson. And you know what? The reason I think at that point, I think Ortiz would actually get paid this time. Oh, Lawrence Grant, greetings from Malaysia. Counterpunch to you. I do feel that Ortiz is good enough to make a good fight with anybody. Ortiz could have hit, because remember, I don't know if you guys seen Brian Jennings versus Ortiz. Ortiz caught Brian Jennings coming inside with a sneaky left uppercut, or it was a right uppercut. Yeah, he might get knocked out by Tyson, but will he do that to White? That's the question you ask yourself. Could that be made? Could he do that? See, now that we know, people have to see reality hit White, and reality hit everyone around White. It didn't hit me. I knew where it was. Now we know that White can get knocked out just like that. That should tell you something. Heavyweight boxing is very, very fickle. Okay, you don't know what can happen from one fight to the next. Boxing in general is, anyway. Like, look at Jared Hurd. Jared Hurd beat up on Austin Trout, dropped Erislandy Lara, an older one, but he dropped him, won that fight, wins a couple more fights after that, and gets his ass beat the fuck up by J Rock. You see what I mean? So it's nothing set in stone with that. Nothing. Was watching TBV and they were debating Chris Arreola being the USA's favorite version of Derek Chisora. Do you agree? Ooh, I don't know. The reason by Chris Arreola. No, I don't. Wait a minute. I can see the comparison. They got a shitload of losses. I mean, they've been beaten by, Chris Ariola's been beaten by Joshua. No, not Joshua. Has he been beaten by Joshua? No, no. He's been beaten by Stavern twice, Vladimir Klitschko, Deontay Wilder, Adam Kalnaki. That's 5 people. I know that's 5 losses. Chisora has 9. You know what? That's a good fight to have, though. Chris Arreola, Derek Chisora. Now, that would be a fight to have. That would be a fight that I want to see. But a Derek Chisora, I don't know, because I think Derek Chisora is still very dangerous. Chris Arreola is not, because, I mean, he hasn't showed us anything lately that he's anywhere near being dangerous. Maybe a gatekeeper, maybe somebody that keeps another fighter busy by giving him a fight and giving him a few grand to fight or whatever, but nah, I don't think he's another Chisora. And if that's our American version of Chisora, I feel sorry for our American choices. That's bad. I see both Arreola and Chisora as heavyweight gatekeepers. Well, Chisora will tell you he's a gatekeeper, though. I don't. I just think Chisora. I mean, Arreola is like on his way of he's just getting out of the game. I think he needs some more checks. You know. Thoughts on Usyk versus Chisora on Halloween? It's going to be a shocking display. Shocking display. Hi, any idea when you get your channel back? Chris W. Hopefully coming soon. Hopefully coming soon. I'd give it another week or two. So not hearing anything is good news. Not hearing anything is good news at this point. So White versus Ruiz is so much fun. That would be good. Because at least we'll see what Ruiz can do against other fighters. And I think he'll do really well. I think, he could probably beat White. It's just the idea of him not wanting to fight him, saying it's fake, it's bullshit. I couldn't roll with that because he turned out, he said he wasn't ready for Ortiz. So we already know. We already know. It's one of those things, man. It's like you can't fool us with your bullshit. Okay? Because if you don't want to fight one fighter and he's considered dangerous, then another fighter didn't oh, I don't want to fight him, but then another fighter didn't want to fight me. Bullshit. Dillian White picked Povetkin because Povetkin was the best possible opponent that he could pick at the time. And he paid for it. He paid. So I feel that boxing, back to the core of the story, I think boxing in general should just roll with the punches. Everybody should fight. Why would the TMZ guy suggest AJ? He has any sources? I'm not sure. But yeah, I think boxers owe it to the fans to take pay cuts to show, be an example for someone that they look up to. Regular everyday people. We are irregular, everyday people. A lot of us look up at sports figures. A lot of us admire, a lot of people admire them, damn near worship them. Okay, but at the end of the day, they worship, these guys. Well, if these guys pretend that they are not human, I can understand you're not messing with them no more, not supporting them anymore, because they're not even showing any sympathy towards anyone else that really doesn't have the money. But anyway, guys, that's just me chopping it up. That's my thoughts on that. Thank you, everyone, for coming on the chat. Please subscribe. And you guys, all you guys, have been Counterpunch. Peace.